Imagine all your audio entertainment available in just one place. That's what the Audible app is all about. With Audible, you can always find the best of what you love or discover something new. Audible has an incredible selection of wellness titles and originals, like The Light Podcast by Michelle Obama, Work It Out by Mel Robbins, and Confidence Gap by Russ Harris. Membership includes access to Audible originals, podcasts, and tons of audiobooks that you can download or stream as much as you want. And as an Audible member, you can choose one title per month from an ever-growing catalog of titles to keep. The Audible app makes it easy to listen anytime, anywhere, whether you're traveling, working out, doing chores, wherever your day takes you. New members can try Audible now free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/motivation or text motivation to 500-500. That's audible.com/motivation or text motivation to 500-500 to try Audible free for 30 days.
Hey, what's up? It's Ryan Shazier, former NFL linebacker and host of the podcast Don't Call It Comeback. Football season is finally upon us. That means lots and lots of yelling, great conversations, and abundance of delicious food. There's nothing like a good game day food tradition. I love grilling. And on Sundays, me and my family love eating Oscar Mayer beef franks. It honestly can't get more classic than that. But you know, game day can't stop with just one food. I love making cheeseburgers topped with some extra melty Kraft singles. And you have to get a little fancy with it by adding jalapenos and crispy onions. I'm getting hungry even thinking about it. I love sharing game day food traditions with my friends and family. Now is your turn to show off your tasty game day food traditions. Go to www.gamedayfoodtraditions.com to share a photo of your game day food traditions to enter to win $10,000. Once again, that's www.gamedayfoodtraditions.com to enter to win $10,000.
This is Full Change with Tom Laidlaw.
So this is a celebration episode. I want to congratulate you. We have reached 50 episodes, landmark.
We got to 50 already.
We got to 50, and it seemed like it flew by from doing this.
You know what's amazing? Because remember when we first started talking about doing it, and I had to learn a lot. You were fantastic teaching me because I was doing these other shows that were kind of, fun, but it was kind of amateur. We get better equipment now and everything. And we really didn't know for sure. Well, we knew what we wanted to do, right? Talking about the players growing up, careers and after. But I got to tell you, I've told a few people this too. It's much more in depth than I thought it was going to be. Like the stories have gone some sad ways, and we'll recover. But
I worked a different show than what we envisioned, and that's okay. It's a good thing. I think I really like the journey that we're on and the path that it's taking. I mean, we've done some great shows. We've learned some things. Hopefully, our fans have as well.
Yep. Well, I think too. It isn't obviously the hockey's focus, but there's other people that we've had on. The Bruce McNalls, and others. And it's just interesting hearing their life story. So again, it's not like reaching the national high, but in the case of Bruce McNall, him growing up and how he made all his money, and then he owned the team, the things that happened to him after, and now that he's recovered. So in a lot of same ways, it is that full change.
Sure, absolutely. And most of us, not all of us made it to the top of the mountain like you did. Again, I rip on you a little bit, but congrats. You're one of the top people in your profession, which is amazing. But most people listening, I'm sure, have a hockey life. Whether they're a hockey parent, or they played, or they're a men's leaguer, or they they gave it up when they were a kid, but they're just a fan. They're involved some way. And we've been able to tell some really good stories, and we're going to pivot a little bit and start telling some non-hockey stories as well. And we said that from the beginning, we're going to do that. Now we're about to hit that mark as we hit 50 shows, and it's been a great trip so far.
Well, yeah, it's like a lot of people know with me, I'm on to the motivational life, everything, and you are as well, with you and your family and personal. So these stories, and it isn't about the success that somebody has necessarily. It's how they pursued the dream, and how they acted once they. We've talked several times where I think back to the way we had to act as players while we were playing. It was really a selfish life, and you don't know it, but you have to be so focused on your career, almost nothing else matters. But you don't realize that that's the way you are until later on in life. Then you look back and go,
Yeah, but I think it's that way too. If you're any kind of these high level professions where you're like an actor or a performer, you have to take care of your performance first, which means you have to sacrifice a lot of things for that time.
Totally.
And you guys did that. And then the transition is when you stop doing that, it's like, now what?
Yeah. Oh, that's true. And that's the thing with an athlete, right? Usually at 30, 35 years old, now that whole life is gone. That's the life that you've known growing up, but now it's gone. Yeah, then you kind of look and go, okay, what's going on here? Like I talked to a few players about that. And it's kind of like, we don't know that that's going to happen, right? And that's
I think you're invincible.
Yeah, I think you're invincible. You think you're going to play forever. Some guys have an easier time with it than others. Some guys, like even, I don't know if this is a fact, but I wonder sometimes for me, we joke around, I could leave Madison Square Garden sometimes and people wouldn't know who I was. They think I was Don Maloney or somebody else.
With Viggo Mortensen.
There you go. Had a lot of, but the star players, I mean, that stardom doesn't just go away, but it's not to the level where what
Sure, it diminishes. Well, just think, I mean, you get how much fan mail did you get as a player? How much do you get now?
Yeah, probably more now. No, seriously, I do. I just think
Take it back.
Yeah, it's easier. And I think, I've been fortunate too to be in the public eye more, doing podcasts and the
Survivor.
brief appearance on Survivor, as you like to mention all the time.
Sure.
So yeah, but it is interesting talking to the players. And you think, well, geez, the league and the Player Association should do more for the players to make sure that they're educated. We wouldn't listen. I wouldn't listen to it. They talk all they wanted. I was going to play hockey and drink beer and have fun.
You think the train ride's never going to end?
Yeah, totally. You think that's for everybody else, right? It's that mentality.
Right.
I'll figure it out. And I think in a strange way too, for us when we played, we didn't make a lot of money. So for me, in my case, I couldn't sit around and just say, well, I've got my savings, got to sit around for a couple of years and figure out what I want to do. I had to get literally within 2 weeks, I put up my aces.
Some guys now they don't have to work ever again.
Yeah, we've joked around about it. We played a charity game now. You get some of the younger guys sitting on the bench, get I say, hey, what do you do for work now? Yeah, let's see, like work.
They don't work.
I've got investment programs.
Yeah, it's different. It's a different world.
Yeah, it really is. And still hockey players, still great guys, and have fun and everything. But yeah, their whole lifestyles.
But hopefully, the people who listen to us, and we have a lot of great listeners from all over we have some from all over the world, which is awesome and incredible that we've had this reach, and hopefully they enjoy what we're doing, what we're gonna keep doing, and they enjoy the show and the banter. And even if I make fun of you, Tom, I'm proud of what we've done. I think it's excellent. You do a great job with this podcast. I'm happy to be doing it.
It's a two-way street. You've really built this up too.
Well, there we go. We got a lot of great fans. I mentioned sometimes I shout out people. But we have, aside from Norris, the Chicken Man at Costco, we have my friends from hockey. We have Robbie and Eddie Carr. We have lots of folks that listen to the show on a regular basis, and they're great fans. And please, write. Leave comments, send us emails, whatever. You want to see something, we'll try to get to it on the show.
Definitely. I mean, we should reach out to more people or call out more people too.
More shout outs.
I have a lot of people that follow me on the other podcasts we do too, like Ira Matthews, Marie, and all that. That's right.
Get them on here. Leave us reviews. We're 50 episodes in now. We're giving this great product to the world. Hopefully they all enjoy it.
That's right. All right. Everybody have a magical day.
And wait, this is going to be a great episode because we have a very special guest in studio today. And the 50th episode guest is none other than Tom Laidlaw.
It took 50 shows for me to be featured.
We had to make sure we were on good, strong enough stand to put you on.
We knew what I was doing or not.
Enjoy the episode.
All right, buddy. Have a great day.
Apparently, every show we do a couple things. I say, "All right, Tom," to start the show, and you say, "I mean this is a total compliment to you."
Do I say that?
You say the guys all the time. You give them this compliment. You say, I'm not trying to insult you, but you didn't make it on talent. You made it on hard work. And I mean, that's a total compliment to you. So that's your take on this.
And what's yours?
I started like, all right, Tom, we got a great guest today. But this is a special episode. This is our 50th episode. And we do have a special guest today. And that guest is Tom Laidlaw.
That's right. Which one? Like the 25-year-old Tom Laidlaw?
No, just the Tom Laidlaw, the overall holistic Tom Laidlaw, the person. So today,
I looked at my fridge the other day and I thought, wow, that's really impressive. Like I go,
you look at a lot of things that you do and say, wow, that's impressive. No lack of self-love with Tom Laidlaw.
I tell people all the time, you've got to look in the mirror, see the work that you've been doing. You're doing it for a reason. That doesn't have to be physically a mirror. Just take note of the great things.
Well, you're doing a lot of great things. But let's get right into it now. There's a couple things, a couple rules for this episode.
Okay.
We can't talk about your first goal on JD in Boston Garden.
Okay.
We're not going to talk about the letter that you wrote yourself when you were 6.
Okay.
And we're not going to talk about your draft day when your dad said, get back in the barn and shovel shit. Our listeners have heard all of those, so we'll just talk about...
just so everybody knows too, we're just doing this. This is just, we don't even know what we're doing. We just created the show. Or I should say, we did. Tom just created the show. Tom Smith did. Okay.
And this is the 50th episode, and we're going to just talk to Tom Laidlaw. Because fans do ask that. They say, like, you ever speak to Laidlaw? Because they hear bits and pieces, but they haven't heard your story. So,
okay.
So let's start out in lovely, bucolic Brampton, Ontario.
Yes. Yeah. Brampton, Ontario. Growing up on the farm, my father, the house we first lived in, the neighbor's house burnt down. So he took all the remains of the house that he could get and built our house. 2-bedroom, no toilet. I've told that story before.
No, we have not done that.
Well, it did have a toilet, but it was a bucket underneath. There was no plumbing.
Wow. This is the house that your dad built by hand?
Built by hand, yep. Wow. I bet you it was probably...
way more impressive than you so far.
Yes. Oh, my father. Yeah, I look back at the things my father did. So I bet you it's probably like 500 or 600 square feet. My mother and father, my sister and I.
Wow.
Bunk beds. I had to live in the room with my sister. And you know what? I felt like I was living in Shangri-La. Like
That's awesome.
My memories were fantastic. Growing up on the farm.
Was your dad a hockey player?
He did play hockey a little bit. He played for the Brampton Junior Farmers.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
He had broken it. It's funny because he'd broken his 2 fingers and they never set properly. So his fingers were always kind of crooked.
Yeah. Yeah. Did he, I think my dad had that with his pinky. Always stuck out. It was like the coolest thing, but probably he didn't.
Yeah.
So he got you introduced to the game of hockey.
You know what? Growing up in Canada, you're just automatically introduced to the game of hockey. The timing was perfect for me along the way. They built a new arena in actually Brampton. So we were outside of Brampton. So we were technically still in the town of Brampton. But the hockey I was going to play was over in what they called it Chinguacousy. It was the township that was. And the arena was in Brampton. So they built a new arena. I'll never forget, walked in there the first time, had the mesh, no glass, and had the mesh on the sides. And they told a story where it was a Sunday morning. I could not skate. So my mother...
Wait, this is the beginning you couldn't skate? Or the NHL career?
Both.
Okay.
So my mother brings me like early on a Sunday morning, right? So they're farming all the time, working. This would have been a chance for me they could sleep in. But no, they got to bring me over to the rink. Got there, and the kids were all skating around, and I started crying. I said, I'm not going on the ice. And she was...
Did she take you home or she threw you out there?
Took me home and steaming. So next Sunday, all during the week, I said, oh no, I'm going to go this week. My father took me this time. Same thing, got there. The kids were all skating. I couldn't skate, started crying. So he had a buddy who's taking me out to the middle of the ice, and drop me off there. I said, okay, we don't have to skate.
You sink or swim.
Yeah. So,
all right. So, and just Tom, so I'll ask the questions here. Okay? You're doing stuff. So you're 6 years old now. You're on the ice. You get a taste of it. You love it.
Yeah, I did right away, I guess. But it was funny because I don't know how I enjoyed it because I really couldn't move.
Doesn't matter. It's cold. You feel you're moving. You're doing something different.
Yeah, and it was Canada too. Hockey meant such a big thing. And, I got in my head that I was going to play in the national.
So you're growing up a Leafs fan at that point, right?
No, I was not. We watched the Leafs all the time because that was what I was on Hockey Night Canada. But no, at the time, as I got older, Bobby Orr came in the league, so I watched him more, but I really never tried to emulate him or be like him.
Yeah, we know. Everyone listening knows that.
We know. But do I tell the story who my favorite athlete was? Do you know?
Yeah, it was Randy White from Dallas Cowboys. Because you have this cowboy fetish apparently with John Wayne and Randy White in the Southwest. We're in the True Grit studios, and there's a freaking horse saddle. There's no horse, but there's a saddle in the studio. So
and a lot of John Wayne pictures around. A lot of John Wayne.
All right, so you're 6. You're playing what do they call it?
House league. House league hockey.
Regular house league.
Cycle and motor. Some place that had they sponsored us. Yeah.
Okay. Are you good at that point, or are you just no offensive? Like were you just out there?
Good. I really could not stand up, so they would put me up front. I'd play center. So I just go stand in front of the net when I got out there.
So you were that kid.
Yeah, but you know what? I always remember, I don't ever remember anybody making me feel worse about myself than just. And I've said that to many people. Part of the greatest gift that my parents gave me was not taking away my dream to play. Yes, they had to be looking at that point like, Tom, you can't skate.
But they gave you that gift and took it away, and they gave you that giant dome that you have also too. So.
Yeah, they did do that. Yes,
which definitely helped you in your career.
But think back about the old tube skates and everything. Did have the puck skates, all that kind of stuff.
You're going way back.
Oh yeah, this is way back. Yeah.
So all right, so now you're playing house league. You start to get a little bit better. Like how does that happen?
So I got a little better. So I don't like telling the story, but it is the facts. My sister was a figure skater. So on the farm, my father would be out farming. My mother'd have to take my sister to the figure skating. So they couldn't leave me alone, and I'd bring my skates along, and I'd go out there and do the figure skating. So I learned all the edge work, and everything. It's fantastic.
That's great.
Yeah, it really was. I'd recommend it to a lot of people if they don't know how to skate.
Sure.
I wore my hockey skates.
No, I've had friends that done that too. They took figure skating classes. That's almost like Lynn Swan taking ballet classes when he was at Pittsburgh Steelers. You learn that balance and that grace. All right, so now you start to get better because your skating's improving. What are you, about 10, 12 years old now? You start to feel like
it was probably 8 or 9 years old. It wasn't too long that I got better. That figure skating just made all the difference in the world. Plus now I was, so I'd be working on the farm all the time. I wasn't doing that much, but I started to bale hay. So
you get strong.
Yeah, you get strong. So I come back to training camp. I played lacrosse during the summer. So in Canada, they play box lacrosse. They take the ice out of the rink. Play box lacrosse, so I do that all summer long, baling hay all the time. So I come back to training camp for hockey. I remember one kid looked at me like, "You're a wreck shithouse." Like, what are you talking about? And it's just you don't know that you really.
What age is this?
So this is now you're getting 10 or 11 years old.
But when does that click in your head? You're like, oh, I'm good at this. When does that happen?
I don't think it really. Well, I can tell you that's not true. I do know exactly when. So when I got to be 15, I was playing for our junior B team. So I talked about timing being good for me. They built the arena when I was ready to start playing. When I got to be 15, they started a junior B team in our hometown. It's called the Brampton Blues. So I was the young prodigy coming up, so I got to play. I probably was close to being good enough, but
Were you a forward and a goal scorer at the time?
no, never. Defenseman. I was actually a goal scorer in lacrosse. I was a good goal scorer.
Yeah, nobody cares.
So I come to the junior B team. I must have had the first try or whoever it was. And one of the women that worked for the team, the statistician or something, her husband was a pro scout. And I'll never forget, stand outside the locker room after practice, and the pro scout pulls my parents aside. The conversation wasn't supposed to be with me, but I was close enough. I could hear what he was saying. And he said, your son's got a chance to play in the National Hockey.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. When I heard that.
15?
Oh, man. Like, first I'm thinking, is he talking about me? Is it? Seriously. Because, that dream, when you're growing up, it's just, you have the dream and you're going to pursue it. But
reality starts to creep in as you get a little bit older. For sure.
Because, and again, it was interesting to listen to Eric Nation talk on his show, how he was exposed to NHL players being around because of his father, Bob Nation. I never had that. I wasn't ever around. There was one guy in our junior team, this Mike Forbes. He played a little bit with the Boston Bruins. I'll never forget, he'd come back to our banquet after he played with the Bruins. I couldn't get, I'd fallen around like a shadow. I wanted to be around this guy because now that was exposure to the National Hockey League. So we never had that. So you really, again, you're dreaming. And even when you get drafted in college, okay, but they're recognizing that I may be good enough, but still 6th round.
Right, but you're jumping ahead. But
okay.
So now, so you're good. So you're a good player for 15. This scout says this kid's got a shot, and now you take that. That fuels you. You start working your butt off.
Yeah, and again, timing, right? So now I get this coach Rick Hay on the junior B team, and he's a totally dedicated guy. He actually apparently was a very good player, hurt his knee, so he didn't make it to the NHL. But he really dedicated himself to helping guys get to college or what. He saw something in me, and I was that young kid that wasn't working hard enough. And then he just got on me, and he was
real. You were working hard enough, really.
Oh, I wasn't at that point.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I see young people now. That he's good enough player, but he's just not working hard enough. Well, it's going to click in. It had to be me, deciding that I wanted to play. I wanted to play, but when I need
to put the work in.
Yeah, and you need, and again, it's one of those things where I had my father and grandfather, my mother, as examples of hard work, but you don't listen as a kid. You just don't always listen to your parents, right? You should.
Yeah, no, we don't.
Yeah. So some other guy comes along, then Rick Hay is the coach, and almost said, "Listen, you're going to work hard because you've got a chance." I don't know if he said the words to me, but he basically was showing me, "Listen, you've got a chance of doing something in this game, even if it's just going to college, but you've got to chase the work."
Yeah, don't blow it. You got it.
Yeah, and he was fan. I look back at what he did for me, and again, not just as a hockey player, but as a person too. Now I've learned a lot from him. There's a whole chain of people along the way.
Of course, there always is.
Yeah.
So, all right. So now you're pretty good. You're a junior B. Now, at what point do you start thinking about college or?
Well, I was drafted just after my, so we won the All Ontario Junior B Championship when I was 16. And I was drafted by the Peterborough Petes.
Okay.
In the second round. And that really exposed.
Is Roger Nielsen there at that time?
Nielsen's coaching, yeah. And that was it. Like, so now I'm this little farm boy. Like, I was probably good enough to make the team.
Well, you're not little, right? You got good size for the team.
Yeah. Right? But I mean, as far as my,
in your head.
Well, yeah, but there was funny things. Like when I started making the junior B team, I hadn't ever showered before. We didn't have a shower in our house.
Are you serious?
So I started taking a bath. So I go in the shower the first time. I don't know what I'm doing. So these junior B teams, I'm 15, 16 years old, and you're playing with guys that are up to like 20.
Right.
And I come out of the shower, I still got soap all over me. The guys are going like, "What are you doing?" It's like that kind of stuff.
What kind of Amish upbringing is this that you had?
We didn't have any money. It's just
but you didn't have a shower in the house? Just a tub.
Yeah, a tub. That's all we could afford to put in. We didn't have the room to do anything else.
Okay. Yeah. So you go back and you're showering. You don't know how to shower.
Right. I mean, there were these 20-year-old guys. They're going out drinking beer and smoking cigarettes and chasing women around. And I would come out of the shower. So
still, you really were a hick.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So when I went to Peterborough, first time away from home, new school, I just remember being like, "What is?" I'm in my comfort zone so much. Now I'm in Peterborough and I'm playing. And again, I was probably good enough, close to being good enough to make the team as a 16 or 17-year-old at that point. But I just socially couldn't handle it.
It was culture shock.
Yeah. So I went back home and then.
Well, what does Roger Nielsen say to you at the time? Do you remember?
He wasn't much of a talker. Great guy. He treated me. Actually, I stayed at his house the first night we were there, and then got put in the billet's house. I don't recall him saying anything to me. I to be honest with you, as much as I wanted to play there, it was almost a relief. I said, "Yeah, I'm going back home."
You weren't ready.
Yeah, exactly. It was not even close to being ready. Went back home, played another year junior, and then.
So then now you're 16, 17?
Yeah, 17 years old at that point. Yeah.
And now are you looking at colleges or what's?
Well, I really wasn't looking at colleges. Colleges started coming to me. I honestly, I just did not know. And my parents didn't know. They were fantastic people. But that whole...
Yeah, they didn't have a shower. So I'm sure they don't know about colleges.
Right. And so Brown University is the first school that comes talk to me.
Yeah, it's a hard pass.
No, here's what. Come on. So he asked for my grades, and he can tell this coach.
This isn't Lamarillo at the time, is it?
No, it was, I can't remember the coach. He was a great guy too. I can't remember his name.
Oh wait, he was Providence, not Brown. Anyway.
Yeah. And so I could tell he really liked me as a player. He wanted me on the team, so he asked for my grades, and I sent my grades in, and he called me up. I'll never forget this conversation. He goes, "Tom, listen, I'd love to have you on the team, but with those grades, there's not much we can do." And those are his exact words. And yeah, I remember thinking to myself, I just
not going to college. But then again, you talk about timing so far in this interview, but now the timing is that Northern Michigan is starting a brand new program from scratch.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
Oh, yeah. The timing is fantastic. So he came, Rick Comby was a coach, and he was smart. I didn't realize this. He was still an assistant coach at Lake Superior State School. And so he had limited time where he could recruit. So he went to our junior B team, Ramblin' Blues, got 4 guys, including myself, off that team. So it was a great selling point to say, you got 3 buddies coming with you.
Going with them, right? Yeah, what was one of those? Don Waddell? No, you met him at college.
Yeah, I met him at college. He was from Michigan.
So Don Waddell, GM of the Carolina Hurricanes. Yep, he was Tom's defensive partner out in Michigan.
So we all go there as freshmen. And it ended up he got 2 more guys that had been on our junior team that are on now. So 5 of my buddies and myself were going up.
So you have a support system built in.
Yeah, totally. It was perfect. And then my parents, it was all get paid for. I was supposed to be getting an education.
Right.
So they were happy. And
there's no upperclassmen. It's just all freshmen coming. So you're coming in with this group, and the things start to go well for you guys, right? Really well.
Yeah. It took a while. Our first year, we were technically the worst team in the league, right? We were just getting ready to hit the country. But I think we had a winning record. I think we were like 19-16-3 or something like that. But I think Coach Conley was smart enough to put some games in there that we knew we could win.
Some tomato cans.
Yeah. And, I remember having people always say to me, listen, you're going to go to college. It's going to be the best 4 years of your life. And it really was. It was a special thing that we were all together all the time. Like we were always together,
Sure.
The cocky athletes with the leather jacket on.
No shock there.
We were bad.
So you have a great team. You eventually get to the national championship game, right? And then was it Phil Sykes or Steve Bozak that beat you? Like someone.
It was Phil. Steve Bozak was on my team. Phil Sykes, I believe, was on North Dakota at the time. So going into my senior year, North Dakota was ranked number 1 in the country. I don't even know if we were ranked, but we were. It was a big moment in my life. Early in the season, we played like 5 or 6 games. We were playing at Lake Superior State, and we were kind of middling around. We weren't playing that great. And I got up and talked in front of the team before, but it was always like the F this and F that, and this time I got up and talked, and I don't know where it came from, but I made this speech from my heart, and it was more talking about the future. Don't ever, don't regret things at the future, looking back at what you could or could not have done.
Gotcha.
And some of the seniors were starting to cry.
Did you get shed a tear?
I didn't because I was talking, but I remember it was emotional.
Wow.
It was the first time that was a big moment for me. I remember even the coach after the game came to my parents and said, well, your son really grew up tonight.
Wow. And then you guys go out and start appearing and you get scored on right away, right?
That's the funny part. We left the locker room like, guys, we're go through the wall. Yeah, exactly. They scored us. We came back and ultimately won the game, and then we won like the next 20 games after. And again, I want to be careful. It wasn't because of the speech. I hope I played a role in it. We just had it. We finally just all of us got together.
Yeah. Or your speech maybe it was a catalyst to start the but everybody like I said, and your goalie is Steve Weeks. You have a good team.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, Don Waddell's there. Steve Bozak played in the NHL for a few years. Steve Weeks. Keith Hansen was a big guy that played in Calgary for a while.
All right, so now while you're in Northern Michigan, you get drafted. We know the story. You're drafted in the 6th round.
Yeah, that was after my sophomore year.
Right, but now I know what you did. I know you went back to work in the stalls. We know that. Yeah. But what are you thinking? I'm going to the pros now. Like, what are you feeling?
I don't remember thinking that I wasn't going to the pros. Like, I don't ever remember thinking, well, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Just to me, and I think it was that background I had with my father and grandfather in particular growing up on the farm, was just show up every day and do your job. And the long term, whether I played in the NHL or not, I think wasn't really a thought. I probably told you a story, but we had a guy, the team, Doug Harris, and we lost him. He's passed away, but great guy. And we were just sitting around the dorms one day, and we were just chatting. And he says, well, nobody from this team's ever going to play in the National Hockey League. I lost my mind. And I think that was a moment where I really felt like what? I'm not? Like, it wasn't a question. I just said, don't you ever say that again. I'm playing in the National Hockey League. That's it.
Well, Doug Harrison was wrong 5 times over because you had Weeks, Bozak, right? Yeah. So you had a lot of guys that made it. Yeah. So you get drafted in the 6th round, but you know you're going to the NHL. And you eventually, when do you go to camp after your junior year?
No, you couldn't go to camp back then. You lose your eligibility. So first time I went to camp was when I was done. So finishing up our senior year, we played North Dakota halfway through the year. They were ranked number 1. By that time, I think we were ranked number 2 in the country. They come to our rink. We beat them both games, so now we're ranked number 1 for the remainder of the season. And then we had a good run, and that definitely helped me And I remember talking about it in that speech that I made. That listen, I'm going to play in the National Hockey. I need this team to be successful.
Sure.
I mean, again,
So selfish, very selfish.
yeah, totally. But it was like I said you should be the same way. Like whatever you want to be. You want to be a doctor, lawyer, whatever it is. You know, we got opportunity.
But yeah, it was basically a pull the rope speech. Everybody got on board.
Yeah.
So now, but let's also, I don't want to do this too much, but 1980 Olympics come around, 1979, you get invited to Team Canada's training camp. You go over to Europe, and then you colossally shoot yourself in the foot, right? And we should talk about that.
Yeah, shit, that's pretty funny. That's the way you put things. You know, like you really.
Listen, I know these stories, but you thought you were bonding.
Yeah.
So you can just tell a story again briefly, but.
So we'd gone over to Europe. There's like 40 guys I left to play on the team. We picked to play on the team, Canada's Olympic team. So the winter before, we got over 20 guys went over to Europe. I was part of that group. Had a great time, good experience. We're in Czechoslovakia, Paris, all these different places. And so during the summer, we go to Calgary. There's 40 of us left. And
some of the people on the team are Don Waddell, Mike Keenan, right?
No, Waddell is US one.
Oh, I'm sorry. So Mike Keenan is there, right?
Waters is there.
Tim Waters, right?
Mike Keenan was there.
Glenn Anderson's on that team.
Anderson on the team. Yes, that's right. Forgot about him. And they don't have much money. And it's before the Calgary Saddle Dome was built. It was the Calgary Corral, this tiny little building. And so we're staying out in the parking lot in these construction trailers, big, it's big double wide construction trailer. So myself and a couple other young men decided it'd be appropriate to go and have.
And you spearheaded this whole thing, right?
I'm assuming I did, yeah. So we went out and had a few beers, got back. It's like 2 or 3 in the morning. And again, thinking that this was a really good idea, we took all the furniture out of the TV room and put it on top of the trainer's car out the parking lot. Now, they went to bed. And again, thinking that this is a good idea, I decided to go wake up the trainer like at 3 in the morning and tell him that we did this, thinking that this bonding moment, everybody's going to be laughing about this. It's a funny thing. So nothing happens, go to bed, get up in the morning, and Hockey Canada at that time was run by this Father Bauer, an actual priest. Great guy, respected a ton. And he comes walking over to me. And again, I'm thinking he's going to come over and give me a hug. And that was a great thing to do. The guys are all bonded together now. Pulls it, gets a plane ticket out of his pocket, hands me a plane ticket, and says, well, now he does it in front of everybody too, because he wants to send a message, and he was right in doing it, that this is not the way we're going to conduct ourselves here.
And you learned a big lesson there.
Yeah. So now I've got to go home. Like I've been bragging because I really thought I was going to make the team. So now I've got to go back to college for my senior year and say to everybody, it didn't make the team, and then explain why I didn't.
You got to go eat crow. And, you could have changed the course of human history there too, because, you don't play in the 80 Olympics.
Yeah.
Now Canada's a little bit weaker on defense. They don't medal. U.S. goes on to beat Russia. Work on ice.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tom Laidlaw.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you could thank me, because I created a miracle.
There you go. So now all right.
I'm a miracle creator.
You're a miracle worker, Tom Laidlaw.
Trading at Schwab is now powered by Ameritrade, giving you even more specialized support than ever before. Like access to the trade desk, our team of passionate traders ready to tackle anything from the most complex trading questions to a simple strategy gut check. Need assistance? No problem. Get 24/7 professional answers and live help, and access support by phone, email, and in-platform chat. That's how Schwab is here for you, to help you trade brilliantly. Learn more at schwab.com/trading.
Sorry, so now you get to the NHL. You go to your first camp. I know you famously run Phillips, but you don't practice. He does not like that, but he says, good job, but don't ever do that again. Yeah. And then you make team your coach is Fred Shiro, and you make the team out of your first camp.
Yeah. So go back a little bit. After my senior year was done, I went to New Haven, the Rangers farm team, to play in the playoffs. That was important for me because now I knew what I had to do to play in the National Hockey because I'd never had any exposure to any.
Gotcha. Do you remember those playoffs? Like who you playing with in that team?
Played with Eddie Oscar. He was there.
Oscar.
Yeah. Lance Nether, he was a guy. So one of the weirdest things is when you go to a pro, I don't know why it's such a big thing, but you want to be able to take your helmet off at practice. It's cool to take your helmet off at practice. So my first practice, go out there, get the helmet off. I feel like, man, I'm an NHL hockey player. I'm getting paid, get signing bonus, $25,000 signing bonus and everything. And we do this breakout drill. So the centerman has to dump it in. Lance Nether is the centerman, goes to dump it in, fires it off my forehead. I'm out in the ice for 5 minutes with no helmet on.
Broken puck too?
Probably, yeah. Probably.
So there you go. So did you put your helmet on in warm-ups after that?
No way. You think I'd learn? Me learn?
So you show up to the first camp. You have that ridiculous Fu Manchu mustache, good mullet.
And it was in great shape too. I was probably I was jacked. I was running hills, hit the gym all the time. Went back up to Marquette, Michigan, and because I knew, I'd gotten it. I've done so many times. The older guys are going to come into camp out of shape.
Sure,
I had to be in great shape, especially be big and strong. I knew what they expected from me, so I was jacked.
And so you make this is 1980. You make the team. What do you remember the conversation with Fred Shiro, or was it the GM at the time? Like who tells you you're an NHL?
Oh, I remember. I was with the team. I don't think I was expected to make the team, but I had a great camp. And we had a fight with Hector Marini. So things are really going well. First NHL game, bad thing happens.
Yeah, we know about it.
Right. Second game, I knock out Robert
Picard, so we did great. That was a great episode we did with Robert Picard.
Yeah. So they don't say too much to me at all. They just go over. The only thing I knew this at the time too, because the older guys, so they just go over to me and said, "Okay, you can get a place now."
That was it. And that still goes on to this day.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit more to it now.
A little more formality now.
Yeah, but it's and again, I think most times, well, I was going to say, I was 2 games into my NHL career before I knew that I'd actually made.
So you just thought, okay, you're coming with us on this trip, and then we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, you really don't know. Like it's just so like people don't talk, especially Freddie Show just didn't talk.
Okay, but before the first game in Boston, they post a list. Okay, here's who's coming to Boston. You're on the team.
Right? Yes.
Well, you're saying you found out you were staying.
You really don't know anything at that point because nobody's told you to get a place to stay. You're staying in the hotel. Yeah, it's up to them to tell you to get out of the hotel and get a place.
Gotcha.
And it just hadn't done it yet. So,
all right. So now you're an NHLer. You got a team. You have that ridiculous mustache. You think you're the toughest guy in the world.
So like wearing the cowboy hat, the cowboy boots,
right.
Manhattan. Yeah.
So then you're down in Manhattan. How's that as a 21-year-old?
So we actually, Chris Katsopoulos and myself lived out in Dave Maloney had an apartment at Hartsdale, I think it was. And one of the worst is just driving around. Like there's no Waze, there's no Google Maps or anything like that. So we just don't know where we're going.
You're pulling into the gas stations asking for directions.
Yeah, we would just drive. And of course, we're in the city after the games, having a few beers, and then driving home, which it shouldn't be, but we don't know where we're going. That first 2 months, just getting used to being in New York City.
Right.
We used to go to this place up in the Upper East Side, Yoran Noretsky. So after the game, we'd all go there. And you could always find a parking spot. We realized we'll just double park on 3rd Avenue, throw our keys to the doorman as we walk in.
Because you're on the Rangers.
Yeah, because Rangers. We do what we want to do. So my parents came to visit me, and my mother, father, and I had a Jeep at the time or something.
Had they ever been to New York before?
No.
Okay.
Bouncing around the bumpy roads, I get the Jeep, the whole bit. Sure. Poor mother's in the back. So I pull up to Warren Rescues after the game, and they're in the car with me, and I pop out. They're looking around like, "What are you doing? You're in the middle of the street."
Yeah.
And I throw the keys in the door. I'm like, "Come on, let's go. We're going in." And my mother, I'll never forget my mother. My father was more like, "Oh, okay, I guess we're doing this." My wife's like, "What has happened to my son? Like this kid that went to Peterborough and he had to come home.
Didn't have a shower." Yeah, now you're like a young Henry Hill in Goodfellas, just tossing the keys to the doorman.
Oh, and seriously, walking around with the cowboy hat on, the cowboy boots.
So when did you drop the cowboy hat, the cowboy boot?
I don't remember exactly. I thought it was, again, I've seen people now that knew me back then, and they used to say, I was this timid little guy, and I really was like, well, I'm not going to talk too much. Ron Duguay's over there, Ron Brashner's over there, Dave Maloney. Nobody wants to talk to me. And people come back now, and we were so intimidated by you. You were sitting in the corner with a cowboy hat on, and you wouldn't talk to anybody. It's like
that you're a psychopath.
Exactly.
So you're on this great Rangers team in the 80s, beloved by the fans. You have all these personalities from Espo to Dugay to JD to, that even later you have crazy personalities too. Like you consider yourself a Ranger still to this day, right?
Yeah.
You work for the team. And how was that though?
Yeah. Well, it was kind of unreal. I mean, I've told so many times, but Ron Duguay, he's sitting on the bench and all of a sudden he's sweating. Now this coconut smell comes out because he's got conditioner in his hair. And you think to yourself, this is unbelievable. Like, I mean, Bill Sposito, the first time he came up to me is after my senior year. I came in town to sign my contract and then go to New Haven. So in the locker room before a day of a game, and he came over and started talking to me. He didn't know who it was. I could tell the trainers had told him who it was. But things like that, when it happened, like Bill Esposito walked over intentionally to talk to me. I know that may seem like a small thing, but those are the kind of things you look back at and go, wow.
You watched him in 72, something serious, all on TV. You've seen the Hockey Night in Canada, and now he's your buddy.
Yeah, and then he says to me, he says, I can't wait to play with you.
Wow.
And I'm going,
and then he invited you guys to his house for Thanksgiving, which is awesome.
Totally. Yeah, he was fantastic to me. He was one that traded me away, but he was, as a player and even as a general manager, he was fantastic to me too. Yeah, but we went over. There was Barry Beck, Ron Duguay, Greshner, myself, Dave Soak.
It must have been a good time.
Oh, they started rolling these big fat doobies here. And again, that's another thing. I'm sitting in Phil Esposito's apartment. He's getting stoned, drinking red wine.
Oh, it's legal now.
Yeah. But I told you, Soak and I had to drag him out. He wasn't in the fire necessarily.
Oh, wow. Wait, do you want to tell that story?
Yeah.
You want to save that for Phil? Let's save that one.
Yeah,
but it's a good Phil.
Oh, that's good. He ended up being all right. There's no harm.
So you're a Ranger through the 80s. You guys come close in 86.
Come close in 80. My first year too, 81. We had that. Yeah.
Sure. Oh, that's right. You beat the Blues, then the Kings and the Blues.
That's probably one of the most beloved teams, other than the 94 team. I'm sure the 79 team and all that kind of stuff. But for me, the fans I see now, that's the team that they loved. Is we were a big physical team.
81 or 86?
81.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I get it's a different kind of team, right?
With the animals on that team.
Yeah. Oh, Eddie Hospital, Chris Katsopoulos, myself, Gresh could fight, Duguay could fight. Barry gets it to you, yeah. And, we beat up LA. We weren't expected to win that series. That was when they ranked the teams one.
That's when Eddie Hospital beat up Marcel Dion.
Yeah. Everybody thought it was me. I don't know why they thought it was me, but that's the one, too, where Nicky came down from the stands and grabbed the guy. So the whole scene. You watch that video, it's hilarious. That's barbaric.
You beat them, you beat St. Louis, and then what happened?
Well, they're playing the Islanders, and they're going on for their second cup. And looking back at it, I mean, listen, I had total respect. They're a great team. They probably would have won anyways. But I think we kind of we had too much respect for them. But we're physical. We pushed around LA. We pushed around St. Louis, and the Islanders with Nystrom and Gillies.
Sure.
You weren't going to do that with them.
But you stopped respecting them in '84, which I think is a more beloved team. You almost did it. You almost knocked them off.
Man. That so it was Kenny. That's the year that Kenny Morris game-winning goal.
Game 5.
It was a 5-game series, and we should have won Game 4. We had them 2 games to 1, going back to Madison Square Garden for the last game there, and we lost that game. I think we lost the game kind of big too. So it means that Game 5 back with the Islanders. But yeah, man, I watched that game 5. That
was tough. We've talked about this several times. It's for me as a fan watching. That was a heartbreaker. That one was really tough.
I tell you, when I watch it now too, I go, wow, I couldn't believe the action.
It's great.
We did it in overtime. There's no, playing it safe or whatever. We just went.
People should go on YouTube and watch that one. It's a phenomenal game. And the overtime is great.
Yeah, the whole, people watching now as a player, man, I was really a part of that.
And you were in. Is it almost like a surreal experience when you watch it? Years later,
because it gets more and more like that as time goes on because you see how great of a game it was, the action level.
So you find yourself rooting, saying, "Oh, shoot that puck, man."
Yeah, you go. You know the outlet.
Right.
It's what's going to happen, but.
So you're on that team, then you're on the '86 team that loses to Patrick Roy in the Canadians in the semis, and then you're gone. Yeah. So how was that?
Yeah, I'd hurt my back. So my first 4 years in the league, I didn't miss a game because of injury. Herb Brooks sat me twice at the end of my second year.
Maintenance days at college.
Yeah. Which I look back at, I probably should have been pissed at him because I would have played all the games my first year, and then I ultimately lost my spleen in year 5. So I would have played, I don't know, 400 straight games. But with Herb, it didn't matter. He wasn't listening at all. So I'd hurt my back, and even in the '86 playoffs, that was a great run by the team. I was in another lineup because of my back. It wasn't as much of an enjoyable experience for me because I'd really become that. I'd play through injuries as captain, assistant captain, all those things, player award, all that. So I feel like this is my team. I have a big role here. So then to be not in it because of the back injury, the back was the worst thing too.
Sure, because legs don't work when the back's hurt.
Yeah. You're walking around. I mean, there's no cast on you. You have that surgery or something like that. And you think, are the guys looking at me, doubting me?
No, but I mean, people just watch Larry Bird laying on the ground, Boston Guards.
Yeah,
he could play because his back's no joke. I'm sure we have plenty of listeners who've had back issues.
Yeah,
relate to that.
Yeah, but it's still so frustrating. Again, going to be that guy that just played all the time through everything.
Sure,
and lots of guys did that. It wasn't just me. So and then they get traded.
But so your coach Ted Sater, who you don't like.
Yeah.
But your buddy Phil trades you to L.A. for Marcel Dion.
Yeah, myself and Bobby Carpenter for Marcel Dion. And
36-year-old Marcel Dion at the end of his career.
And that was the worst thing, too, because your ego kicks in and you want to get traded for a good player. It's weird the things that go through your head.
He got traded for a great player, Hall of Famer, but at the end of his career.
Yeah, he was in a wheelchair.
So now, because Eddie Hospital.
Yeah.
So now you're in L.A., yellow and gold before Gretzky comes. And then Gretzky comes and it's just a different world.
Yeah. And I got to love LA. It was because I missed New York a lot. It wasn't that I didn't like LA, it's just I loved New York so much.
Yeah.
And then, so we had a great bunch of guys like Jimmy Foxes and Dave Taylors, Bob Warren was out there, John Tonelli came.
Tim Waters, Kelly Rudy.
Yeah, just a great bunch of guys. Robbie Fittorg was a fantastic coach for me. He wasn't a great coach for Wayne Gretzky.
Right.
But, so when Wayne got there, we went from being we were a good team. We made the playoffs the year, twice when I was there before Wayne. And then when Wayne showed up, it's just, it's one of those things, we've had Bruce McNall on a show, the owner of the team. And it was interesting talking to him because it brought back those old memories. Like he was such a big part of it.
Yeah, what an owner. I mean,
he treated us fantastic. There were so many extra things he did and it's just the way, he wanted us to generally do well as individuals and as a team. Sure. And But Wayne was this. I did not realize how special, not just a player, but a person.
Like, give us a good Wayne story. You and Wayne.
Yeah. Well, all right. So Wayne, like, it's amazing his memory that he's got. So we played against each other in junior B, and he was 2 years younger than me. So he'd come up levels because he was such a good player.
Playing with the Sioux at the time, right?
No, he was around Toronto before he got to Major Junior.
Okay.
We were both. I was with the Railway Blues. He was with. I can't remember who he was with. But we used to try to kill him too, because here's this phenom coming up.
So he's probably playing underage, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I was probably 17, so he was probably 14 or something like that. Yeah. And so we was in training camp, first training camp. I'm sitting in the back of the bus. Back in those days, they had beer on the bus. Beer was everywhere. And I'm sitting in the back, and the old guys all go to the back of the bus, and I see Wayne get on. He grabs a six-pack, and he starts walking back towards me. We know each other at this point, but it's not like we're best buddies. And I'm thinking, why is he coming back to me? Like, am I getting
what I do wrong?
Yeah, am I getting traded or something? And he wasn't like that, but that's the perception we had. So he comes walking to the back of the bus, sits down, has a beer with me, and he was like a regular old guy. Like you and I sitting around having a beer, and he starts talking about some of the guys that were on my junior B team and that he played against.
Wow.
I couldn't remember these guys. He could remember them. And that's the kind of, like, he understood his place in the game so much, how he was going to affect other people, the game itself, even at that young age as a kid. So
but he's talking about guys, your junior B teammates from 15, 16 years ago, guys who had never made it. He's like, hey, Tommy, let's talk about so-and-so.
And I couldn't remember these guys. He
remembered you.
Yeah, he remembered me. And it's just so he treated everybody like that, too. Like, it didn't matter who it was. The Zamboni driver, the bus driver, the president of the team.
Well, he's got class.
Yeah, he did. And I think he's just so aware, too. Like, it's like he knew who he was going to be and the impact he was going to have on the game and how he wanted to handle himself.
That's pretty awesome. That he's forging these individual relationships with all you guys while he's still, we had Jim Thompson on it. He said, Jim Thompson said how good Wayne was to him when he played.
Cool. The funny story for Timmy Waters and I, we played together, played defense. We were like, Timmy told a story on his show, but we were supposed to be the defensive guys.
Sure.
So Wayne really, not like he didn't like us, but he wanted the offensive guys out there. He wanted Steve Duchesne out there, of course, and all those guys. So especially Robbie Vittoric was coaching, he just loved Tim and I. So Wayne went on the ice. Robbie says, Tim and Tom, let's go. So we jump on, and Wayne turns around, looks at us, and sees it's us coming. And he kind of, just for a brief moment, he kind of lost his composure. He rolls his eyes. He goes, "Oh God, these two guys." But we knew that he wasn't like mad at us. It's just he wanted somebody else on the ice.
You were going to give him grenade passes,
right? And once he did it, we all kind of laughed about it. The three of us all kind of laughed because we all knew what was going on. So that was the way he was. He would lose his temper once in a while, but he would always catch himself.
Yep. Yeah, just a great guy. So did any of your because before that, New York was probably like where the celebrity spotlight was in hockey. So because there wasn't other cities like that, but now you get to LA and it's just. It blows up. Were you prepared for that for your time in New York?
No, not at all. I guess I just, if I look back and I should have realized that it was going to happen with Wayne, but I don't know if even talking to Bruce McNall, I don't think he knew the impact Wayne was going to have on either. Like, we knew the sport was going to be bigger.
Not like what happened. What happened was insane.
Oh man, that movie stars were there in our locker room after. And we thought about this. At first, it's kind of like, Sylvester Stallone, Kevin Costner, Goldie Hawn, and all the movies.
President Reagan is at your games?
Yep, that's right. John Candy was in there, Michael J. Fox, all these guys. But it's funny, because you just got done playing, and Big John Candy comes in, God rest his soul, and they're all hammered. Right? They're drinking all game long. So he's standing at the stall beside you, trying to go to the bathroom, and smell like booze. And at first, he was kind of cool. Well, it's John Candy. I'm taking a piss with her. But then after a while, it's like, okay, enough's enough.
I got to go play now, guys.
Yeah. But they were good guys. Obviously, they were not there to see Tom Laidlaw. They were to see Wayne.
Of course. They see the show. Yeah. So now that you guys get to 89, you have that great series against Edmonton. Knock them off, then you lose to Calgary, they win the cup. Yeah. And it's a pattern of your career where you get knocked off in the semis by teams that go on to win the cup. Was it 4 times that happened to you?
Yeah, it did. That's right. Yeah, the Islanders. That's right. That was a great series too. That Islanders series in '84 was a great series. But the series, the Kings against the Edmonton, they went up 3-1 on us. And never forget. So game 4 then, which made it 3-1, was in LA, and that was right. So Asa Tikkanen, so you have the guys working in the room, the visitors, and you get to know them, right? Because you're out there all the time. And Asa Tikkanen said to the guys, "Well, we'll say goodbye now because we're not coming back," saying that they're going to win the series. Oops. Automatically, those guys come right to us, tell us that.
Yep.
And that's we can't. That was a fantastic series. Come back, and then something's wrong in the timing of it. Game 7 was in LA, whichever it worked out, but it was. That was the series where Norma Combe and Simpson.
Yeah, you and Tim were burying those guys.
Well, they were burying us for a while. Then we finally said
that. You stood up.
Yeah, we said enough's enough. And that was kind of a turning point too, because they were playing a big role. Like we couldn't get out of our zone because of the forecheck.
Craig Simpson was a great player.
Yeah, he was really good player. Good guy too. I see him now. He does a lot of work on television. Everything. Good guy.
Yeah. And then Gretzky famously gets that empty net goal, clinches the series, celebration ensues, and then Calgary runs you guys over.
Yeah. The other big moment during that period of time too is when Wayne broke the record, Gordie Howe's record.
Sure. I'd say you should definitely don't remember that because you were on the ice. You were on the ice for the tying goal.
I was on the ice. I actually had the assist on the. He had the first assist. I don't know. Well, we were out. He had the second assist. I had the first assist. That Bernie Nichols scored the game. That
was we talked about that on the episode with Bernie where you handcuffed him with a terrible pass and was like, "What are you doing?"
So it's 4-4, you know. So Steve Deshane's on with us, Wayne Gretzky, Bernie Nichols, and then me. They wanted me to be the defensive guy. So and then it's like a Hall of Fame. There's Paul Coffey, Mark Messier, Charlie Huddy. I can't remember who the other, maybe Glenn Anderson or something like this. So we've got them hemmed in their zone,
right?
And everybody knows the gravity of the situation. Gordie Howe's in the building. You know that if Wayne gets a point here, that's going to tie Gordie Howe's record,
right?
You know, Gordie had been traveling around with us for a while, but that was fantastic too. So nobody's covered me. Right. You know, concentrate on Wayne, concentrate on Bernie Nichols. So Wayne gets me the puck wide open in the slot. I think Bill Ranford was the goalie at the time too. And I remember I went into panic mode because all these thoughts are going through my head.
Get this off my stick as soon as I
can. Yeah. I'm thinking, okay, I don't want to miss the net. You've got a chance for Wayne. This is for Wayne. If I get the goal here, he's tying the record. And that's going to go down in history. You know, the old videos and all that stuff. So Bernie is tied up. Charlie Huddy had him tied up. There's no way I should have passed to him. But Bernie is a fantastic athlete. So I said, screw it, I'm passing to Bernie. So I passed him, he tips in and scores. And the crowd's going nuts. You know, he watches the video, looks like this great play. And Bernie's laughing at me. He goes, what are you thinking about passing to me?
So on the tying, when Gretzky tied Gordie Howe's record, it was a goal by Bernie Nichols, assisted by Tom Laidlaw and Wayne Gretzky. Yeah. So he got the second apple on the he got the first.
Oh, God, it was funny. That whole scene, when I see that video now, I laugh because Bernie and I were just, everybody else is going nuts. Nobody else he's got an idea what's going on. But Bernie and I, it was
so you had some great moments with the Rangers and the Caves, obviously, and then it's over. Your back's acting up, and you're like 32 years old,
33 years old, yeah.
So you're a young guy, and you're done.
That was a tough time too. Like psychologically, again, going back, like the back was the worst thing. I've talked to other players, the same thing. We've got a back injury. You're removed from the team. Everybody else has gone off doing their thing. That's like we talked when we get traded. You know, when somebody else gets traded on your team, we still have to go do our thing.
Sure.
It's not that we don't care about the guy, but when you finally get traded, you're like, where is everybody? Like, you know, I'm gone. I will see you guys.
Yeah, it's like the coolest club in the world, and now you're not in it anymore.
And I'll never forget. So I had to go up to Rogie Vachon's office. Tom Webster was the coach at the time. He called me up and said, Tom, your career's over with. And I'll never, as much as I knew it was coming because of my back, it's just when the words finally came out of his mouth and I walked out of the rink by myself.
Devastating.
Yeah, you walk up this ramp out of the Great Western Forum, and I'll never forget. I'm like, what? It's just, you can't really believe it, that this is, you know, you dreamed all your time as a kid to get to the NHL. Now you make it. I'm just proud of my career. Like I said, captain, assistant captain, all these did, played in two great cities with all these great players, Phyllis Mazzito, Wayne Gretzky. And then now the game's over with and you're like, okay, what just happened?
Yeah. So what do you do that specific day? Remember what you do? You leave the forum. What do you do?
Well, I really didn't know what I was doing.
You go tie one on?
No, I did. I had a young family at the time. And I'm thinking of something. We didn't make enough money that I could just sit around for a year. There was an agent out here by the name of Larry Rauch, who was living in New York. Great guy. At that time, there was very few agents. I think it's maybe 15 or 20 agents. And he had helped me with my career, my contract at the end of my career. So I really didn't know what to do. But I can't remember if I called him or he called me. He says, Tom, let's go in here for the weekend. We'll talk about you working with me. And then for him, I would have been helpful because, again, I just finished playing.
You know the players. You can meet people.
Right. So we went out, sat around. He was living in the city. We sat around for the weekend. We even called Stan Fischler. Said,
oh, wow.
Hey, Tom Laidlaw, let's get the agent.
The Maven.
Yeah. So I got the plane flying home. I thought to myself, why am I going to work for him? He was a great guy. Why don't I just do this myself? All these great things I'll teach myself. And this is where
you're right, based on nothing at all. Yeah. Just confidence.
Yeah, totally. It was just this, I'm going to do it because I felt like that's what I've always done. I'm going to do it. I didn't overthink it.
But see, that's interesting because at least with hockey, you had experience. You had a lifetime of training.
Right.
The agent, you're like, I'm just going to do this.
Yeah.
So that's good. I mean, that's good and it's crazy.
I know.
Thank God.
Oh, it's true. The crazy part, I look back at it, thank God I was not smart enough to overthink it. Right. I didn't overthink it. I just, okay, I'll figure it out on the fly. I'll never forget, I got these brochures printed out and, I started, learning who the players were. And the good thing was I had a lot of contacts. Glennie Hanlon, I've told the story, great friend of mine, great teammate. He was now scouting with the Vancouver Canucks. He was a goalie scout. And started going to games. I saw him on the road. That's how I got my first client. This kid, Jason Fitzsimmons already had an agent. He introduced me to Jason, said, "Do you have an agent?" He's going to handle talking to him. And the kid said, "Yeah, I do." He said, "Well, this is your new agent." And that's how I come, which wasn't right.
It's a big boss move right there.
It was. And I had a lot of stuff happen to me like that because of the relationship I built when I was buying, which really helped me a lot. So, yeah, but it was...
But full credit to you, Tom, because like to be so bullheaded, to just think that you can, that's great. That's the level of confidence a lot of people don't ever have.
I know. And I look back at it and we joke around about it, but I would be going places and people were always saying no to me because they said, "It's great, Tom, it's your foreman and player, but you've never negotiated a contract before."
Like, don't worry, I got it.
Yeah, it's just true. I do look back and think,
that's good for you. So listen, so you did that for 22 years.
Yeah.
I mean, in between we know you had a little brief stint as a San Jose Sharks color guy.
Yep.
And then you became an agent full on 22 years working with IMG and Mike Barnett.
yeah, and what a thrill that was too. Is Mike was so well respected. So I met Mike. Obviously, he was Wayne Gretzky's agent. So I met him in L.A. And then when I got going in the agent business, I would go out for like 10 days to Western Canada, and I would have the entire time booked. Like I didn't want to be wasting my money. Like I would stay in a Motel 6, Sullivan place. It's my money I'm spending now. That was a big thing too. So as a player, I never booked a hotel, never booked a car. Nothing like this. And all of a sudden, I'm booking. I remember I booked some cars out in the snowstorms in Western Canada, driving through the mountains and all this stuff. And I'm driving like a little Ford Mustang with the rear wheel drive. So I learned along the way all the things I should be doing. And and then I would see Mike Barnett out on the road, and there's an opening with IMG, and he came to me and said, "Listen, you're incredible. Your work ethic is unbelievable." And I started to get clients now and do my own contracts.
So once again for you, hard work paid off.
Yeah, totally hard work. And just like you said, being totally bullheaded, not listening. Whether people would say to me like, "What are you gonna do?" I said, "Well, I'm gonna be an agent." They go, "You can't be an agent."
Yeah.
Right. So it'd be
like I'm plowing through.
Yeah.
Now, and I mean, it's a total compliment to you. You did make it on your your talent as an agent, but you did on your hard work. And I mean, it's a total compliment.
Your kids do a better job.
Oh, definitely. Oh, they absolutely do.
Yeah. Well, that is true. Yeah. And now I understand who I am much better and doing all this mental stuff and everything. Back then, I didn't know. I didn't care at all. I knew that I had to get it done, and how did I get it done in the past?
Well, Tom Laidlaw as a hockey player, and this is probably a great compliment. And this is going to be a compliment to you, but it's something our young viewers should listen to. And we do have a lot of young viewers. Is you were a coach's dream because you showed up, you worked hard. Now, granted, you didn't take many chances, but you were reliable, dependable. You got the puck, you got it out, you got it to the guy you had to get it to, and you picked up your guy. Fine. That's huge. I think Keith Jones says that in his book too. He always had his guy. And that coaches, everyone wants to be the 50-goal scorer, the flashy guy, but you need players who are dependable, who you can rely on, who are always there in key situations. That's your hockey career.
Yeah, it is. And I think that's life too. That you can be successful in life by being that person too, right?
Yes.
And you're right. So the coach, like I said, I was on the Pee Wee team. So my reputation was I was going to show up every day. I wasn't the best defenseman on the team. Maybe I was the third or fourth best defenseman, but I was always going to do my job. So now the Bantam coach, who saw me play as a Pee Wee, now knows, okay, I want Laidlaw on my team because I know what he's going to do. I watched him 20 times. He's always done the same thing.
Always going to be reliable.
And then that would always happen on the way up. As I look back, I don't think I was ever the best player on any team I ever played on. But I didn't know how I was doing it. I just knew it was working. I didn't know anyway. And again, I have to go back to my father, my grandfather, just watching them. Because on the farm, milking the cows twice a day.
Just that work ethic. Yeah. Always show up and work. It's funny. I coach 8-year-olds now, my son included, and we tell the kids coaches love back checking, and they say, "What's back check?" But it's like, go back, get the puck, work hard on defense. Coaches love that. So you stress that, and you did that as a career, and then you did 22 years as an agent, and then you became a workout lunatic. When did that happen?
Yeah, I got away from working out for a while. When I really got going in the agent business, I think it was more of a time thing. I had a young family, traveling all the time, going to games. So I got to get a little sloppy, heavier a whole bit. So I would work out again. But I really probably, I'm going to say 5 or 6 years ago, my youngest son, Cody, was always pushing me about branding myself. And I said, Cody, nobody cares about me. I was like a slug defenseman. But that's your brand. That's who you are.
Did you say slug defenseman?
I think it is.
Love it. All right. Oh, that's a good name for yourself.
So, okay, I said, let's get going on the Facebook and Instagram. And again, no plan of where this is going to go. I had this other company called Post Game Strategies where we do these other deals. So I thought, okay, this will be some fun time. So I started getting up more consistently at the same time, posting a video of my clock on my microwave.
353.
And then pouring a cup of coffee. And that was every day for months. And people would go and they said, well, it's pretty cool, Tom, you do it every day, but you can post different things. And I really didn't know.
Oh, you were just posting a picture of your clock? That was it? Yeah, okay.
And pouring a cup of coffee. So yeah, that's who I was. So now I'm starting to learn more. Again, as much as I was an athlete, a professional athlete for 11 years, I didn't really know that much. I realize that now. But like, I hurt my back, didn't know how to fix that. Now
I think our listeners know that too.
yes. So now so now I'm starting to learn more things, and now I'm starting to go to events. People are following me, and I've told a story about this older gentleman that comes up and gives me a hug. We're at an event down the city, and I'm like, okay, I don't know the man.
Yeah.
And he says, Tom, you saved my life. Man, what? I've never met you before. But he said his doctor told him that he had to lose 70 pounds or he wasn't going to make it. But by following me every day, the discipline of getting up every day helped him lose that 70 pounds. So those things started to happen, and I started to see that, well, I'm making a difference. I've got a responsibility here. And again, really honestly, I didn't have some plan of where I was going to go. So now I started thinking, okay, well, I could do more things. Get in the gym, film myself in the gym. There's the video, we did this Laidlaw challenge, it was a 21-day challenge. The idea was, listen, you don't have to get up at 3:30 in the morning like me. If you're getting up at 7, get up at 6. Now you've got another hour to do things, those kinds of things. I can see that now we're getting more of a following. And then, I don't know if you know what I was on Survivor. I don't know if you know that or not.
We didn't get to that yet. Come on, man.
So those things started to happen to me, all from the online stuff I was doing, the speaking.
You're doing motivational speaking. You're doing some life coaching, some motivation, and you're working with people.
Yeah.
You're getting results because you're in the gym every day.
Yeah.
And then how do you get on? Now, I'm sure people listening to the show know this, but you were on Survivor, season 39, guest spot, 5-episode guest spot.
I dominated the show, I'd like to tell you.
Well, how long is the season in Survivor? 20-something episodes?
It's 20 episodes, 39 days. Oh, yeah.
So you dominated the first 17% of Survivor, and then you were gone. Just like the Kings.
And I just I did what I wanted to do and went home. Yeah.
No, but all jokes aside, that's freaking awesome that you go on Survivor at what were you, 62 years old at the time? 61?
I turned 61 when I was there on the show.
So you're a 61-year-old guy in the middle of Fiji, with your, in a banana hammock. All right, so again, you're a 61-year-old guy in the middle of Fiji with all these young people half naked.
Well, you know what's funny too? I told some people I was going on Survivor. They're like, you are? And it was like, that was part of the coolest thing, because I'm in this motivational speaking. I say to people, listen, doesn't matter what it is. If you want to do it, I mean, don't put yourself at risk financially or physically, or whatever it is, but if there's something you want to do, don't make excuses about doing it later. Go do it. So when the opportunity came out to be on Survivor, I was like, well, yeah, I'm going to do it. I mean, it's, it's like, I was gone for a total of like 45 days to do the show. So it's a big commitment, right? And you're leaving and they take away your cell phone, your computer. So, I mean, it's a real commitment you're making. And even though I got voted off early, I still didn't have a phone or computer because they don't want anybody else to know when you got voted off. It'll ruin the show.
So you do come home, but even still, regardless, it's a great experience.
Yes.
It's a cool production. You have to aqua dump, right?
You have no choice, right? You're out there, you're excited to go on Survivor. It's a fun adventure, you go on, but you don't think things through. There's no toilet, there's no toilet paper. You don't think, okay, where am I going to take a dump? So they teach you to do an aqua bomb or aqua dump. So you go in the ocean, and it's the funniest thing. I wish they had filmed it for me. So you take the picture. So you're out there by yourself. Everybody else, there's a certain area you go on the beach, and then you go do your thing. So now all your feces is now on top of the water.
Did you say feces?
I said feces.
So your feces is on top of the water, floating by.
Now it's the ocean, so the waves are passing in. And if you've ever tried to run in the water, it's like you're going slow motion in the water. So you try to run away from your own poop, and you're going like real slow, like the slow motion thing going on. And it's the funniest thing. You're looking backwards and you see where the poop is.
Oh, it's coming to get me.
Oh God, I was dying. I think if they filmed it, it would have been hilarious.
But everyone has to do that. I mean, you got to create enough room away from people. Right?
Yeah,
like you're not gonna.
Right. And you don't. It's not something you come back to camp and talk about, right? So it's like when you finally do the show. And you meet other players. Like I met this guy, Ben, who was a Marine, or is a Marine. He's won it a couple of times, and he was a fan of mine. I was a fan of his. So we connected on Instagram, I believe it was. And we started telling that story. And he's just, I was the same way. It was a point of saying, it was just one of those things you don't think about on the show. You think about all these other things that are going to happen, but you think, I'm going to be running away from my own poop.
Yeah. Isn't it weird though? Like when you're playing this game, the Survivor game, at the middle of the in the ocean, you have no amenities. And then the whole crew is there, and they're nicely showered and dressed, ready to go.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh, you stink too. I mean, you don't shower. There's like dirt under your fingernails. Yeah. When you finally do shower, like it takes you like a week to get all the dirt off. Just your nasty mess. Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah.
So you did that. You did Survivor. That was a great experience for you, right? You got a lot of notoriety for that, and then you come back, and now you're working for the Rangers.
Yeah, doing a lot of great stuff too. They really utilize. Like I've now speaker at all these events. They had Ronald McDonald House thing down at Chelsea Piers. They have me be the MC. So because of all the things I've done, I get much more opportunities coming to me. And you know what's funny too? Like, I think I always had it in me a little bit. I told you the story way back when I was playing with the Rangers. They had this program where they paid for you to go to school.
Right.
I was laughing at me. It never bothered me. It's the same thing now. So they had me dancing with Dancing Larry. Everyone knows Dancing Larry in the Garden. So I'm dancing in front of 18,000 people in Madison Square Garden, and I can't dance at all. And everyone else, like, they said, you're the only person we can ask. Nobody else to do it. I've got this thing in me now where, I'm going to do it. I think I really learned, too, that, again, I believe when people say, listen, you learn from your mistakes, I get it. But I think more for me, I've learned that I'm going to keep doing the same mistakes. I just feel like I can recover from things because that's the way it's always been.
Well, I think when you reach a certain age, there's a certain level that you achieve of not giving a fuck. And when you do that, it's easier to live because you don't worry about what people think, what people say, because you're living your life. You're enjoying yourself. You're not hurting anybody. So, go for it.
I remember what's the worst thing you have? I had this wonderful young girl works for the Rangers filming me. And I got done dancing, and I go, I suck as a dancer, don't I? She goes, yeah, you do. But you gave it everything you got.
There you go. You're all in. And that's you do more than just dance at games. You go to a lot of community events. You help out. You do a lot of kids clinics. You do a lot of great community outreach work with the Rangers, and that's awesome.
Yeah, it's so great for me too. We've talked about this so many times. When you're helping other people, hopefully you're giving something to them. But when you go to these events and you see the difference that you can make with somebody, you leave and go, wow, that feels good. You feel good about yourself too.
Well, let me ask this question now. Any regrets? Let me get my Tom Laidlaw. So, any regrets?
Well, I learned, if you'd asked me that question about a year ago, I would have said, yeah, I've got regrets. So I made that mistake with the Canadian Olympic team and all that stuff. But again, after the Canadian Olympic team, when I got made that stupid mistake, that next year was one of my best years of hockey because I had to make up for that stupid mistake. So no, I don't have, I love, it sounds strange when you say this now, I love who I am now, and I've never felt like that before.
Well, that's my next question. So Tom, do you love yourself?
You gotta get your kids to do that. We should do a show with your kids.
They do a better impression of you than I do, sure. Well, listen, I mean, this is a total compliment to you.
There you go.
So you made it on hard work and showing up and dedication. And
we're going to have a big show.
A fantastic show.
That's a show.
All right, Tom. Well, that was our guest today. Our guest was Tom Laidlaw. Anyway.
We stop it now.
It's been a great career. Now you're doing a successful podcast with ex-NHL players, and it's been a wonderful ride. And here's to the next 50 and 550.
I need to say something, too. You made a big difference in my life personally and as a professional doing this podcast, too. You're a very creative mind. You made, like I said, you made a huge difference. So.
Appreciate that very much. Let's keep rolling.
It's a great show.
A fantastic show.
All right, Grasshoppers, thank you for listening. We had a fantastic show. We'll see you next time.